All right, welcome to another installment of the Fragments of Silicon Reviews. Two reviews, two impressions this week. Um, First review is Ballooni, or Ballooni Driven by Madness. The game doesn't really seem to know what to call itself, or at least have a subtitle or not. Seen that before. Anyway, Ballooni, a cute and colorful 2D jump and run action fest. You are invited. Help the madness-driven Ballooni to overcome all challenges. Ballooni features the protagonist of the same name, driven by madness and humility, on a mission to collect valuable coins across a series of challenging levels full of obstacles and crazy enemies to avoid. Really overselling this insanity part.
Yeah. Again, we
Your
sure this
task,
isn't from a neural network.
no, but there's some ESL here.
Yeah, seems like it.
Like, your task is to gather enough coins to progress, but it's not an easy task as enemies roam the environment. Along the way, you may collect letters in the correct order for rewards, and portals may be accessed and utilized to enter otherwise inaccessible areas of the map. It's a lot of fun to hop on conveyor belts and floating platforms, and you can shoot spells against your enemies to freeze them in time momentarily. Admittedly, I never did that, though I don't think I found what the button was on my controller to do that. Um, each of the levels within the game has its own theme and distinct look and feel. You must learn to master the Tower of Bats, the Flooding Pyramid, the Labyrinth of Madness, and other levels to beat the game. At the bottom of the screen is a scrolling display that encourages you along the way and other funny tips and phrases as you play. I'll be honest, that scrolling screen just reminded me of pirated scroll screens you might see from back in the day. But that's neither here nor there. Anyway, so the game itself, so it calls itself a jump and run. That's a very British term, even though the developer seems to be German, I think. Still, European flavoring for the platform. Yeah, this is a platformer for the most part. That maze level, yeah, that's like Pac-Man, except bad and horrible and shouldn't have been in here. The rest of the game, yeah, it's a platformer, a very floaty platformer, which is to be expected because you are playing some sort of balloon golem.
Sure, we'll go with that.
Like, well, I mean, they just identify it as Ballooni.
Indeed.
Not, I mean, he could be a balloon homunculus if you wish. Like, at any rate, it doesn't really matter what he is, outside of the fact that because he's some sort of balloon creature, he floats, and floats very prominently. Unfortunately, since this game had some display issues, not getting the full range of petty fans suffering this review.
Yeah.
He is truly devastated.
Yes, I'll give myself 40 lashes later.
I'm sure you will. Anyway, yeah, so very floaty jumps, and your task is to collect all the coins to get to open the portal and jump over the enemies. Yeah, the spell thing, it's a stun spell, so it's not doing much.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and the game controls,
That's to put it nicely.
It's like, I can't say it's broken or horrible for the most part. Once again, like, the maze level is just flat out unresponsive at points.
Yeah.
Like, also, this game is using the analog stick for its controls, which no, it's a 2D game, so I would like to use the D-pad for 2D controls. Because using an analog stick is very awkward.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the biggest problem here. That is, for whatever reason, jumping around and off of ladders is really bad. Like, it's clunky, it's gangly. It just doesn't feel like it works right. You know, like the balloon jumping, you might say it doesn't feel really good, but I can't say it's off message. I don't know if that's another, because you are a balloon animal reject thing. You have to get entangled in ladders or something, but it's just awful. And there are there are a lot of ladders in this game. It's not
like it's a platformer or something.
Yeah, it's not like the central element. Like it's not a game built around ladders, so it's not the worst thing, but you can feel it. That being said, I would say that the worst level was the Donkey Kong level, the temple level, or the flooding pyramid, as it's called. That's mainly because of the barrels. They, for whatever reason, bounce you back more than they would injure you. It didn't seem to be consistent on which one would do which. And that kind of... And just getting hit felt a bit... Like, the hit detection in this game in general felt a bit sloppy, to say the least. And that's how I would describe this overall game. Rather sloppy. Like, it's not awful, but it's not very good either. It's...
And, like, there are definitely some parts, like the Pac-Man levels, that could just be excised entirely.
Yeah, that's just not fitting with what the game's going for. Like, it's a platformer, and, these platforming mechanics don't work with the maze chase game. Like, okay, that's the kind of thing you prototype, and when you realize it doesn't work, you scrap. There is a bit of platforming in that level. In the... You take one of the portals up to the top. But since it's full of ladders, it's not great. Graphically, it's another one of these. It's not quite shapist minimalism, but it's almost there.
Yeah, it's like the one step above that.
Yeah, like it's not actually trying to invoke minimalism as some other games we've reviewed here, but it's pretty minimal. Like, in its in its graphics, like outside of the backgrounds, like the backgrounds are a bit more detailed, though still very abstract for the most part.
They're detailed when they want to be, and then sometimes they're just not.
Yeah, like the Labyrinth of Madness actually kind of looks like, the Tower of Bats. That's the one. That one that looks like a cathedral. Kind of looks like a cathedral.
Right.
Like, music was pretty unremarkable, if I'm being honest. And yeah, I think that's about it for the overview and whatnot. Now, in terms of pricing, well, the good news is this game is dirt cheap. Clocking in at a paltry $1.99. We're talking cup of coffee. Hell, I would. That's. I will spend more on a 20 ounce of Coke Zero than this game. So the central question is it worth even the $2? I'd say barely passable. like there's enough of a solid foundation here to get some enjoyment out of, but I can't say it's actually good. Like in terms of letter grade, I would give this a D plus. Still passing, but deeply flawed. Very concerned. See me after class.
Yeah. Letter maybe coming home with your parents.
So, like I will say, it has a bit more personality in both its graphics and its design than a lot of the more functional but bland games that we featured on the program. But that doesn't endear me to it.
Indeed.
Right. So, any questions, comments, or concerns over Ballooni here?
I don't think so.
All right. So, yeah, that'll about do it for this game. Be sure to tune in after the break, as Petty Fan will be giving us his impressions on Haven Dog.